Come on, Daniel, we're late. Jonah Tremont ran through the halls of the mansion, hunting for old clothes. Daniel, 8 years old, appeared holding a torn T-shirt. Dad, is the experiment really going to work? It is, son. Today we're going to find out who really has a heart. But why can't we go in our normal clothes? Because when people see us dressed well, they act differently. Today we'll see who helps for real. Jonah scooped soil from a planter by the back steps and smeared it on himself. Daniel laughed while his father mussed both of their hair. There. Now no one will recognize us. They took the simplest car in the garage and drove to Union Square. Jonah chose a little spot along the sidewalk near the subway exit. Remember the plan? We're hungry, and we have nowhere to sleep. The first people hurried past. A woman in high heels averted her eyes. A man in a suit tossed a coin without slowing. An hour passed. Daniel grew discouraged. Dad, people really are mean. No, son. Everyone's in a rush. But we'll find someone special. Another hour. Dozens of people tossed coins without looking. Others pretended not to see. Daniel was getting sad when a woman stopped in front of them. She was young, maybe 20-something, in a blue cleaning uniform and worn sneakers. Her face looked tired, but her eyes were kind. Are you too hungry? Jonah and Daniel were surprised. She was the first person who actually stopped to talk. The woman crouched to their level, not caring that her pants would pick up dirt from the sidewalk. Hang on a minute. She opened a battered little purse and counted out coins and crumpled bills. $14.25. It's all I have for the next 2 days. She looked at Daniel with warmth. But a kid shouldn't go hungry, Daniel whispered in his father's ear. She's just like Mom in heaven. Jonah's heart tightened. This woman had just handed all her money to strangers. Thank you, miss. What's your name? Julia Parker. And you? I'm Jonathan, and this is Daniel. Julia smiled at the boy. Hi, Daniel. How old are you? 8, Aunt Julia. What a polite kid. There's a bakery on the corner. Buy him a sandwich. Okay. She stood, adjusting her bag. Aren't you going to have lunch? Jonah asked. Julia shrugged. I'll manage. What matters is the child not going hungry. I've got to get back to work or my boss will kill me. But when I get off at 6, I'll come back to see if you need anything else. Jonah couldn't believe it. She had not only given away all her money, she'd promised to return. Thank you so much, Miss Julia. You're an angel. Imagine that. I just did what anyone would do. People help people, right? Julia waved and went into the office building. Come on, Jonah said to Daniel. We need to change fast. Back in the car, they pulled on clean clothes. In 5 minutes, they looked normal, no trace of dirt. Let's go where she works. I want to see what kind of person she is when she's not helping someone she thinks is homeless. At the front desk, Jonah asked where the cleaning contractor's office was. 3rd floor, but they're on duty right now, the guard said. Just a quick question. Upstairs, they found Julia talking with a big, stern security guard. Please, Mr. Marcus, don't throw them out, Julia pleaded. It's a dad and a little boy, poor things. The kid is tiny. Julia, you know it's management policy. Homeless folks scare away clients. I know, but when I get off, I'm going to help them find somewhere to sleep. Just don't expel them now, and if the administrator sees it, I'll lose my job. I'll take responsibility, she said quickly. If anyone complains, tell them I asked you to let them stay. Jonah and Daniel listened, hidden behind a column. You gave them money, didn't you? The guard asked. I gave them all my lunch money for the next 2 days. But what was I supposed to do? The kid looked like he hadn't eaten in a while. Julia, you're too kind. You barely have enough for yourself. If we don't help when we can, who will? The guard sighed. Fine. I'll let them stay till you get off, but if anyone complains, I'll handle it. Thank you, Mr. Marcus. You've got a heart of gold. Julia went back to work pushing a cleaning cart. Jonah watched her work, wiping every desk with care, organizing everything with respect. Daniel tugged his father's sleeve. Dad, are you crying? Jonah wiped his eyes. It's that we found her, son, the person we were looking for. At 6 sharp, Julia stepped out of the elevator. She looked more tired, her uniform sweaty, and her feet aching. Even so, she stopped at the front desk. Mr. Marcus, are they still outside? They are. The dad said to thank you. They were able to buy food for the boy. That's good. I'll swing by there before heading home. Julia went to look for Jonah and Daniel. Not seeing them where they'd been in the morning, she grew worried. Jonah made a quick decision. Daniel, come on. Let's talk to her. They approached. Julia turned, surprised. Wow, what a difference. You're clean and in nice clothes. Did you manage to find a place to shower? Yeah, a friend let us use his shower. Jonah lied, feeling awful. That's good. And did you get food for Daniel? We did. He ate well, Jonah said. Daniel looked confused by the lie but stayed quiet. I'm really glad. And do you have a place to stay? We're still a bit lost. I'm from Newark. I came looking for work. My name's Jonathan Smith. I'm a salesman, but I've been unemployed for a few months. Julia nodded. It's tough, especially with a child. Do you have anywhere to stay tonight? Not really. We were hoping to find a shelter. Look, I don't have much space at home, but there's a couch in the living room. If you want, you can sleep there tonight. Tomorrow we'll figure something out. Jonah was shocked. This woman was offering her home to strangers. Are you sure? We don't want to impose. Don't be silly. People help people. And Daniel is so well-mannered, he won't be any trouble. You're really nice, Aunt Julia, Daniel said, smiling. How sweet. Do you like cartoons, Daniel? I love Spider-Man the most. Cool, I have cable at home. You can watch while I make dinner for you. Jonah remembered the promise he'd made to his wife 2 years earlier in the hospital. Lucy, pale in bed, squeezing his hand. Jonah, promise me something. Find Daniel a real mother, not a woman who wants your money. A real mother. I promise, love. The memory flashed by. Jonah watched Julia chatting with Daniel about cartoons and felt he had found what he'd been searching for. Miss Julia, are you sure it won't be a problem? I'm sure. And stop calling me Miss. I'm 26. Sorry, Julia. That's better. Come on. My place is far. We'll take the bus. On the ride, Jonah watched Julia greet the driver, help an elderly woman, play with a crying kid. Julia's place was tiny, 2 rooms in a narrow walk-up in the South Bronx, simple but clean and organized. Sorry it's small, but it's tidy and has everything you need. It's perfect, Julia. Thank you for having us. Make yourselves comfortable on the couch with Daniel. I'll make dinner. Jonah took in the house. No luxuries, but arranged with care. Plants on the windowsill, family photos, colorful pillows. Dad, Daniel whispered, why don't we tell her the truth? She's nice. Jonah couldn't answer. How could he explain to a child that they were testing someone's kindness by pretending to be poor? It's complicated, son. We'll tell her, but at the right time. When? Jonah didn't know. He only knew he was falling for a woman who didn't even know his real name. 3 months later, Jonah had made up a story that he'd gotten a job as a salesman and that they were living in a boarding house. In truth, he spent all his free days with Julia. Daniel adapted to his double life. At his private school, he was a rich kid. With Julia, he was just Daniel, a regular boy. It was Sunday. Jonah was at Julia's place helping with lunch. "Jonathan, stir the beans while I season the chicken." Jonah stirred the beans, watching Julia. She turned simple ingredients into a good meal. "Julia, can I ask you something?" "Sure. Why did you help us that day?" "Honestly?" She stopped seasoning. "Do you want the pretty answer or the true one?" "The true one." "Because I've been in need, Jonathan, really in need. I know what it's like to go hungry, to have nowhere to sleep." Her eyes grew wet. "When I was 15, my mum died. My dad had died when I was a baby. I went to live with an aunt who didn't want me. She made me work and kept my pay." "And how did you survive?" "By doing any work that came along. Cleaning, kitchens, sales. I stayed in shelters until I could rent this little place." "Did no one ever help you when you were struggling?" "Some people did. Humble folks who shared the little they had. That's why, when I see someone in need, I can't just walk by." "So that's why you helped us?" "Because I know life can flip in an instant. Everyone deserves a chance." Daniel ran in. "Mommy Julia, the cartoon is over." Julia laughed and hugged him. "Then let's eat." "Mommy Julia," Jonah repeated, surprised. "He started calling me that last week," Julia said, blushing. "I told him he didn't have to, but—" "I like calling her Mommy Julia," Daniel said. "When you marry her, she'll be my real mom." Jonah and Julia looked at each other, unsure what to say. "Daniel, go wash your hands," Julia said, cheeks still pink. The boy hurried off, leaving Julia and Jonah alone in the kitchen. "Sorry, I didn't tell him to say that." "No need to apologize." Jonah stepped closer. "Honestly, I've been thinking the same thing. These last 3 months have been the best of my life. You reminded me what it feels like to have a family." He was being sincere. Even though he was lying about who he was, his feelings were true. "Me too, Jonathan." You and Daniel filled my life with joy. They kissed for the first time in the small kitchen, the air scented with lunch. After they ate, they went up to the roof. Daniel played with a toy car while Jonah and Julia talked. "Julia, have you ever wanted to leave here? Go somewhere better?" "This is my better." She gestured to the buildings around them. "This community took me in when I had nothing. Mrs. Francis lent me pots when I moved in. Mr. Anthony let me run a tab when I was short on groceries. Here we're family to one another. When someone is struggling, everyone helps. When someone's happy, everyone celebrates." Jonah had never thought about it like that. In his mansion, he barely knew the neighbors. "You're special, Julia." "I'm not. I just learned that people help people, and money isn't everything." A blade of guilt pierced Jonah. He was lying to the most genuine person he'd met. "Julia, I need to tell you something." "What?" He stopped. He couldn't do it. "I love you." Julia smiled. "I love you too, Jonathan." They kissed and made love that night. For the first time in a long time, Jonah felt whole, but in the back of his mind, a voice whispered, "How do I tell the truth without losing everything?" Jonah decided to confess the next day. He couldn't take the lies anymore. He'd reserved a table at a simple downtown restaurant. Daniel was excited because Jonah had told him that after dinner he could share the special secret. Julia arrived looking beautiful, in a dress Jonah had never seen. "Wow, you look incredible. Is that new?" "It is. I bought it this week, spent money I didn't really have, but I wanted to look nice for you." His heart squeezed. She'd spent money she didn't have, for him, without knowing he could buy 1,000 of those dresses. "You always look beautiful. You didn't need to spend anything." "I wanted to." At the restaurant, Daniel was wide-eyed. "Dad, this place is fancy." The waiter even has a tie. Julia laughed. It is fancy. You shouldn't have spent so much, Jonathan. Jonah took a deep breath. Julia, I need to tell you something very important. What is it? You seem strange. It's about who I really am. Jonah took her hand. Julia, my real name isn't Jonathan Smith. It's Jonah Tremont. Tremont? What do you mean? I own Tremont Construction. I'm a millionaire, Julia. Her face went pale. She pulled her hand away. Excuse me? That day in the square, Daniel and I were running a test. We disguised ourselves as homeless to see who truly had a good heart. Julia stared, unable to process it. You were pretending. You lied to me this entire time. Julia, I can explain. She stood, legs shaking. You lied for 3 months. You made a fool of me. It wasn't like that. Daniel stood too, scared. Mommy Julia, please don't be mad. Daniel, did you know? She asked, voice breaking. The boy looked at his father, unsure how to answer. Julia, sit down. Let me explain. Explain what? That you played with me? That you made me into an experiment? I never played you. I fell in love. How can you talk about love? You don't know me. I do. You know an idiot who believed your lies. People were starting to look. Humiliation burned her cheeks. I gave you all the money I had. All of it. I skipped meals to help, and it was all a lie. You don't understand. I understand perfectly. She grabbed her bag, tears streaming. You're a rich man who gets his kicks making poor people look stupid. Mommy Julia, don't go! Daniel cried. Julia looked at him, and her heart cracked. For a moment she hesitated. Daniel, sweetheart, Mommy Julia has to go. But you said you'd be my mom forever, she sobbed. I'm sorry, my love. I'm sorry, she ran out, leaving Jonah and Daniel at the table. The boy sobbed loudly. Jonah paid quickly and rushed out with Daniel, searching the street for Julia, but she'd already vanished into the crowd. At home, Gordon Tremont was waiting in the living room. He saw Jonah come in with Daniel crying. What happened? Why is the boy crying? Nothing you need to know. Jonah, I'm your father. I have a right to know. Daniel stopped crying. Grandpa, Mommy Julia went away. She found out Dad lied. Mommy Julia, who is that? Gordon asked. A woman I met, Jonah said with a sigh. A special woman. What kind of woman? A housekeeper. Jonah's voice softened. A housekeeper I love. Gordon's face flushed. You're dating a housekeeper. I'm not anymore. She ended it. Gordon gave a cold smile. Good thing that foolishness is over. Dad, don't talk like that. Jonah, you're heir to an empire. You can't play Romeo and Juliet with hired help. She isn't the help. She's the most incredible woman I've ever known. Was, Gordon said. Now it's over. Better this way. Jonah scooped up Daniel and headed upstairs, leaving Gordon alone. The older man stood there thinking, then picked up the phone. Hello, Sonia. I need you to look up a Julia Parker, housekeeper. I want her address, workplace, everything, and I want it by tomorrow morning. He hung up with a cruel smile. If his son didn't have the sense to end this, he would. The next morning at the office, Gordon's secretary came in with a folder. Mr. Gordon, here's the information on Julia Parker. Close the door and tell me everything. Julia Parker, 26, works for Brightworks Cleaning, lives in the South Bronx, Sonia said. As for family, an orphan since 15, no relatives, minimum wage jobs, struggles financially but no big debts. Perfect for a gold digger, Gordon muttered. She saw Jonah and thought, I've found my chance. Actually, sir, Sonia hesitated. Everyone in her community speaks well of her. She helps neighbors, watches their kids. That's a facade, Sonia. A poor woman who gets close to a rich man wants one thing. He walked to the window. My son is naive. He thinks people are good. I know how the world works. What would you like me to do? Go to her company, pose as a homeowner looking for a cleaner, offer her a job. What for? If she's away from Jonah, she'll forget him. If she's close to me, I control the situation. Sonia took notes. How much do I offer? $3,000 a month. That's far more than she earns. She won't refuse. And if she gets suspicious? You're Mrs. Sylvia, a business owner's wife. Nothing unusual, he smiled thinly. And don't mention my name. Our secret. Meanwhile, Julia was at her neighbor Mrs. Francis's apartment. The 70-year-old peered at her. Kid, what's with that face? You didn't sleep at all? Julia's eyes were swollen from crying. I couldn't sleep, Mrs. Francis. I kept thinking about everything. Tell me properly. Last night you just came home in tears. Julia told the whole story, the meeting in the square, the 3 months of dating, the discovery of the lie. He deceived me the whole time, made a fool of me. Hang on. The man lied about money. But did he lie about his feelings too? How would I know? If he lied about one thing, he could have lied about everything. Mrs. Francis shook her head. I've watched you these past 3 months. You were happier than ever. And Daniel, was he pretending too? Daniel is just a kid. Exactly. Kids don't know how to fake that. If he called you mommy, he felt it. Julia wiped her eyes. But how can I trust someone who started everything with a lie? I'm not saying forgive him blindly. I'm saying maybe it isn't so simple. It is simple. He's rich. I'm poor. To him I was a game. There was a knock. Mrs. Francis opened the door to a well-dressed woman. Good afternoon. Do you know Julia Parker? That's me, Julia said, standing. Can I help you? Wonderful. I'm Sylvia, Sonia improvised. I'm looking for a housekeeper for my home. You came recommended. By whom? By Mrs. Marcia, who works in the building where you used to clean. Oh, right. Julia didn't remember, but didn't question it. The job is Monday to Friday, 8 hours a day. I'll pay $3,000 a month. Julia's eyes widened. $3,000? That's right. It's a big house, but I travel a lot. Most of the time you'll be alone. Mrs. Francis elbowed Julia. Kid, $3,000! Julia needed money badly. She'd lost her job from missing too many days while spending time with Jonah. Do you need references? No, Mrs. Marcia already spoke well of you. Can you start tomorrow? Julia hesitated, then necessity won. I can. Sonia gave her an Upper East Side address. 8 on the dot. Ask for Mr. Gilbert. When Sonia left, Mrs. Francis clapped. 3,000, Julia! That's more than double. It's strange. Why would someone who doesn't know me pay that much? Stop being suspicious. You deserve this chance. Julia smiled for the first time. You're right. I'll take it. Meanwhile, Jonah was in Daniel's room. The boy wouldn't stop asking for Mommy Julia. Dad, aren't you going to get her? It's not that simple, son. Mommy Julia's mad at me. But you can say sorry. I tried last night, remember? She wouldn't listen. Daniel went quiet, thinking. Dad, why did you lie to her? Jonah sighed. Because I wanted to be sure she liked us for real, not for money. But she helped us when she thought we were poor. Doesn't that prove she's good? Jonah was surprised by his son's logic. It does. So why don't you go after her and tell her you were dumb? Daniel, if you don't bring Mommy Julia back, I'll be sad forever. Jonah hugged him. Okay, I'll think of a way to talk to her, I promise. He had no idea how. The next day, Julia arrived at 8 at the Upper East Side mansion. It was enormous, with gardens and an electronic gate. The guard phoned in. The new housekeeper is here. She entered through the service door. A well-dressed man in his 50s with a stiff face greeted her. You're Julia? Yes, sir. I'm Mr. Gilbert. I'll explain the rules. She didn't realize it was Gordon Tremont in disguise, hair restyled and different glasses. First, people work properly here, no slacking. Yes, sir. Second, I'm very demanding. If I tell you to do something 3 times, you do it without complaining. Julia frowned at the tone but needed the job. Third, no chatting with other staff. This is a quiet house. Understood. Gordon showed her around. 12 bedrooms, 8 bathrooms, 3 living rooms, bigger than any place she'd ever worked. You'll start with the dining room. I want everything shining. Julia gathered supplies and got to it. She polished the mahogany table, wiped each chair, organized the crystal cabinet. An hour later, Gordon returned. What kind of cleaning is this? Look, a smudge. Julia looked. It was microscopic. I'm sorry, Mr. Gilbert. I'll clean it again. Do it right the first time. Redo the whole room. She redid everything. Another hour. He returned and found a new fault. The chairs aren't aligned. There's dust on the chandelier. But I cleaned the chandelier. Are you contradicting me? No, sir. I'm sorry. She cleaned a 3rd time. Her back already ached, and it was only 10 a.m. At lunch, Gordon told her to eat in the service area. Stuffed food is in the fridge. 15 minutes. She found a simple sandwich and some juice, ate quickly, and returned to work. In the afternoon, he invented another humiliation. Julia, I dropped a plate in the kitchen. Clean it. Food was scattered on the floor. It was obvious he'd thrown it. Clean it well. Not a crumb left. She knelt and scrubbed, while he watched with a cruel smile. People like you are born to serve people like us, right? Julia stopped and looked up. What did you say? Nothing. Keep cleaning. On the bus home, she called Mrs. Francis. How was the first day? Hard. The boss is very demanding, but for that pay, I guess it's worth it. Yeah, I suppose. Julia couldn't shake a bad feeling. On the 2nd day, Gordon escalated. The master bathroom is a mess. Make it shine. She went up. It was already clean, but she did it again. When she finished, Gordon stepped in with dirty shoes and walked across the wet floor. Look what a mess. Do it again. But you just dirtied it. Are you accusing me? She took a breath. No, sir. I'll clean it. On the 3rd day, it got worse. Today, I want all the windows washed, inside and out. There were more than 50. She worked in the hot sun. Mid-afternoon, Gordon splashed a bucket of dirty water on a freshly cleaned window. Oops, careless. You'll have to do that one again. Tears stung her eyes, but she stayed silent. What's the problem? People of your class shouldn't complain about honest work. She clenched her fists and kept going. She needed the job. Gordon thought, in a week she'll be so broken she won't even remember my son. At week's end, Julia was cleaning the living room when she found a photo on a table. A small child, maybe 5, with curly hair. She picked it up and her heart stopped. It was Daniel. Find something interesting? Gordon stood in the doorway with a malicious smile. Where do you know my grandson from? Your grandson? Her legs went weak. You're Gordon Tremont, Jonah's father. Pleasure to meet you officially. The picture slipped from her fingers. You knew who I was? Of course. You think this was a coincidence? Why, Why would you? So you'd learn your place in the world. He stepped closer, looming. My son fooled himself about you, but I know what you are, a gold digger who saw a rich man and thought her ship had come in. Isn't that right? Isn't it? It's not. Then why did you take a job here for $3,000? Why not refuse when I offered more than you're worth? She had no words. That's what I thought. You're like all the rest. You only think about money. You don't know me. I know your type. My son's naive. I know how the world works. The front door opened. Dad, I need to talk to you about Julia, Jonah called, stepping into the living room and stopping dead. Julia, what are you doing here? Working for your father. Where else would a housekeeper be? Her voice trembled with hurt. Son, Gordon said theatrically, this is Julia, an excellent employee. Very dedicated. Jonah looked from his father to Julia. You knew it was her? Of course. I hired her for that reason. What? To show you both where she belongs in our family. Julia picked up her bucket and rag. If you'll excuse me, I have to finish my work. Julia, wait, Jonah said. We have nothing to talk about, sir. But I can explain. Explain what? That you brought me to your father's house so he could humiliate me and show me I'm the help. I didn't know you were working here. You didn't? She let out a bitter laugh. Of course not. Why would a millionaire keep track of a poor housekeeper? Gordon watched, satisfied. Julia, Jonah tried again. Please listen. No, she stepped back. I've listened enough. I listened to lies for 3 months, but no more. Now I know my place. Your father made it very clear. She fled to the kitchen. Jonah followed. My father doesn't represent what I think. No? Then why didn't you say anything when he said my place is to serve you? Jonah had no answer. That's what I thought. You're the same. We're not. You are. The only difference is your father is honest about his prejudice. She gathered her things and headed for the door. Where are you going? Out. I won't stay here to be humiliated. Keep your job. I may be poor, but I still have dignity. She slammed the door. Jonah was left in the living room with his father. See, Gordon said. Told you she only wanted money. At the first sign of difficulty, she walked away. You did this on purpose. I did, and I'd do it again. Now you've seen her true character. The only character I saw was you humiliating a hard-working woman. Jonah, I don't want to discuss this. Jonah stormed out, leaving Gordon smug. Julia would never want his son again. In the days that followed, Gordon set the second part of his plan in motion. He knew Jonah still loved Julia and might try to win her back. He needed to poison both sides. He drove to the South Bronx, left his luxury car a few blocks away, and walked to Julia's building. Julia, I'm Gordon Tremont, she opened with a scowl. What do you want? To talk. May I come in? Say it from there. I came to warn you about something important. She crossed her arms. What thing? My son is engaged to Helena Davis. They're getting married in December. A knife twisted in Julia's chest, but she didn't show it. What does that have to do with me? Nothing. I just thought you shouldn't get your hopes up. He took out his phone and showed photos. Jonah with a pretty blonde at society events. These were last night. They went to a restaurant opening together. Julia studied the pictures, Jonah smiling beside the woman, looking at ease. Like I said, don't get any illusions. I don't have any. Good. Then we understand each other. Gordon left her devastated. She didn't know the photos were 2 years old, long before she'd met Jonah. That same day, Gordon went to find Jonah at the company. "Son, about that housekeeper. I don't want to talk about Julia. You need to know something. She's telling people you dated." "What?" "She's saying you promised to marry her, using your name to get things." "What things?" "Store credit, loans. I've been getting calls from people demanding payment for her. I don't believe she'd do that." "You're naive." She saw opportunity and took it. He pulled out papers. "Look, 3 loans in your name. She forged your signature. The documents were fake, but Jonah didn't know that. She said you'd cover it after the wedding." "Believe it." Jonah sank into a chair, reeling. "Do you see now why I warned you?" "Women like that only bring trouble." "I can't believe it," he murmured. Part wanted to disbelieve, part found the proof convincing. "What should I do?" "Nothing. Ignore her completely. She'll stop when she can't get anything from you." Meanwhile, Julia told Mrs. Francis, "He showed me photos of Jonah with a beautiful woman. They're getting married in December." "Oh, child, what a heartache." "I knew it, Mrs. Francis. Rich men don't marry housekeepers." "But you said he loved you." "Love?" Julia laughed bitterly. "He was just playing with me. Now he's back to reality." "What if you talk to him and explain your side?" "There's no side to explain." "He lied. I found out. It's over." She wiped her eyes. "Better this way." "I never fit in his world." "Don't say that." "It's the truth. I'm a housekeeper. He's a millionaire. That's not real life." She didn't know Jonah was hurting just as much, and that all of Gordon's facts were lies. The villain's plan was working perfectly. 2 weeks later, Gordon realized his plan wasn't complete. Jonah was still sad, asking employees about Julia. Daniel wouldn't stop crying for Mommy Julia. "I need a final blow," he thought, something to make Jonah hate her for good. He called Sonia. "One more favor." "What is it, sir?" "Find Julia again. Make up a story and bring her to the house. She won't come back." "She will." "Offer 5,000 for a weekend cleaning. A poor woman won't refuse." On Saturday, Sonia rang Julia's bell. "Julia, it's Sylvia. Remember?" Julia opened, wary. "What do you want?" "I have a proposal. Weekend job. 5,000 for 2 days." 5,000? Julia gasped. "My husband's hosting a party Monday. I need the house perfect." "What kind of work?" "Deep clean, polish silver and crystal, organize the heavy stuff, but it pays well." "And will Mr. Gilbert be there?" "No, he's traveling. It'll just be you and me." Julia took a breath. "I'll do it." Saturday morning she arrived at the mansion. Sonia showed her what needed doing. Start in the dining room, then the living room. "Mr. Gilbert wants it all perfect." "I thought he was traveling." "He is, but he left instructions." Julia set to work, cleaning the room top to bottom, polishing every silver piece, arranging every crystal. Mid-afternoon, Sonia slipped away without a word. At 5, Gordon appeared in the room holding a very expensive gold watch. "Julia, glad you came." "I thought you were traveling," she said, tense. "Change of plans." "I came to grab a few things." He set the watch on the table. "Keep working." "Don't mind me." She finished the dining room and went to the kitchen for more supplies. When she returned, the watch was gone. Weird, she thought. He must have taken it. At 6, she was wrapping up when Gordon returned, with Jonah. "Son, I wanted to show you something important." Jonah walked in and saw Julia. "Julia? What are you doing here?" "Working. Mrs. Sylvia hired me for a special cleaning." "What Mrs. Sylvia?" Jonah began, but Gordon cut him off. "That's not why I brought you." "Julia, where's the watch I left on this table?" What watch? A gold watch I put here before I stepped out. Very valuable. I don't know. When I came back from the kitchen, it wasn't here. Interesting. Gordon pretended to think. Only you and I were in the house. You're implying I took it? I'm not implying anything. I'm stating a fact. The watch is gone. Jonah watched, confused. May I search your bag? Gordon asked. You may. Search everything. Julia plunked her bag on the table. Go ahead. He rummaged, then pulled out the gold watch. Look what I found. Julia froze. I didn't put that there. Someone did. Oh, yeah? Who would that be? You planted it. Gordon feigned outrage. Why would I do that? Jonah stared at the watch in his father's hand, then at Julia. Julia, how did that watch get into your bag? I don't know. I swear I didn't take it. Jonah, Gordon said sadly, I hate that you had to see this, but now you know who she really is. I didn't steal it. He set me up, Julia said. Jonah looked into her eyes. For a second he hesitated, but weeks of his father's lies had worn him down. Julia, I'm disappointed. I thought you were different. You really believe I'd do that? The proof is right here. Her world collapsed. So that's it. After everything, you believe your father and not me. Say no more. She grabbed her things. I understand perfectly. She headed for the door. Where are you going? Out, and this time, forever. She slammed the door. Jonah stood there with his father. Son, I know it's hard, but better to find out now. She seemed so sincere. People like that are great at acting. That's why I warned you. Jonah shook his head, shattered. Come on, Gordon said, patting his shoulder. Tomorrow buy Daniel a phone. It'll help distract him. They walked out. Gordon hid a victorious smile. His plan had worked perfectly. Jonah would never want to see Julia again. Out on the sidewalk, Julia walked away in tears, feeling she'd lost everything, the love of her life and her faith in a world where kindness wins. What she didn't know was that an 8-year-old had been listening from the stairs, and Daniel Tremont had just discovered that his grandpa was a very bad person. A month after the watch setup, Julia was desperate. Gordon had spread word around the city that she was a thief. No company would hire her. I'm sorry, Julia, but I can't bring you on, said Ronald, owner of a small business. I got a call saying you steal from employers. But Mr. Ronald, you've known me for years. I have, but I can't risk my company. Julia left crushed. It was the 5th rejection that week. At home, Mrs. Francis was worried. Kid, you're not eating. You're too thin. I'm not hungry. You haven't been eating at all. Julia could only find day jobs, $15, $20, barely enough for food. Mrs. Francis, I think I'll have to go back upstate. What? I can't get work here. I'll have to leave. Your life is here. What life? No one will hire me. I'm in need. A strong cramp hit her belly. She got dizzy. What is it? Mrs. Francis rushed to steady her. I'm lightheaded. It must be hunger. Mrs. Francis made tea, but the dizziness didn't pass. Julia fainted onto the sofa. Help! Someone help! Neighbors rushed her to a community clinic. Ms. Parker, when was your last period? The doctor asked. 2 months ago, doctor, but it's probably stress. I'll order blood work. Based on your symptoms, you might be pregnant. An hour later, the result confirmed it. Julia was 1 month along. Doctor, are you sure? Absolutely. Congratulations. Julia didn't know whether to cry with joy or despair. She was pregnant with Jonah's child, but he didn't even want to see her. Doctor, What if I can't afford to raise a baby? You need to eat properly. The baby needs nutrients. I don't have money. The clinic can provide prenatal care through a community program, but you have to improve your diet urgently. Julia returned home with the test. What did the doctor say? Mrs. Francis asked. I'm pregnant. Mrs. Francis hugged her. What joy! I'll be an honorary grandma. How am I going to raise a child like this? I barely have food. We'll make it work, kid. We always do. This is different. It's an innocent child. Julia stared at the test. How do I tell Jonah? He hates me. A child is a child, Julia. He has a right to know. No, he doesn't. He'll think I'm making it up for money. She tucked the test away. No one can know this, at least for now. Meanwhile, Jonah sat in Daniel's room. The boy had a new phone, but was still sad. Dad, why doesn't Mommy Julia come anymore? Son, we've talked about this. Mommy Julia isn't coming back. But she was so nice. It's complicated, Daniel. Sometimes people aren't what they seem. I'm sure she's good, Daniel said. I know you liked her. I did too. But sometimes people disappoint us. Dad, do you still love her? Jonah hesitated. Do you or don't you? Tell the truth, he sighed. I do, even after everything. Daniel brightened. Then why don't you go after her? I can't, son. Too much happened. But if you love each other, she doesn't love me anymore. I'm sure Mommy Julia still loves us. The next week, Daniel really got sick. Bad cough, high fever, trouble breathing. Jonah rushed him to the hospital. Doctor, my son's coughing terribly. After the exam, the doctor said, it's pneumonia. He'll need to be admitted. Admitted? His lungs are compromised. In the hospital, Daniel got worse. The fever wouldn't break. He raved. Mommy Julia, where's Mommy Julia? Jonah sat by the bed. Son, Daddy's here. I want Mommy Julia. She used to sing to me. She can't come. Why? She doesn't like me anymore. Jonah had no answer. He watched his son wither. Doctor, will he be okay? We're doing everything we can, but he's very weak. Sometimes kids respond better when the person they're asking for is present. What do you mean? He keeps calling for someone. Mommy Julia. Would it be possible to bring her? Jonah's heart wrenched. It's complicated. Mr. Jonah, your son could be at risk. If there's someone who can help him. Jonah stepped into the hall and called his father. Dad, Daniel's very sick. He's calling for Julia. You're not thinking of calling her, are you? I don't know what to do. The doctor says he could die. Don't do it. But what if Daniel, if he doesn't make it, will I forgive myself? Gordon got nervous. If Jonah called Julia, the plan would unravel. Son, you're desperate. You're not thinking straight. Maybe it's time to think with my heart, Jonah said, hanging up. He stood outside the hospital, then went back to the room. Daniel was worse, almost unconscious. Mommy Julia, please, come. Jonah couldn't take it. Nurse, I have to step out. Of course, sir. We'll call if anything changes. Jonah drove straight to the projects. Pride meant nothing, only fear of losing his child. He knocked. Mrs. Francis opened the door. Jonah. Mrs. Francis, I need to talk to Julia. It's urgent. She's not here. Where's she working? At Mrs. Carmen's on the Upper West Side. He grabbed the address and rushed over. Julia, the employer called. There's a man here to see you. Julia came to the door and saw Jonah. Her heart raced. What are you doing here? Julia, I know you hate me, but Daniel is very sick. Daniel? What happened? Severe pneumonia. He's hospitalized and only calls for you. She went pale. Is he okay? No, the doctor said he could die. Julia didn't hesitate. Take me to the hospital. Now. You'll go after everything, Julia? I love that boy like my own. Of course I'll go. Mrs. Carmen appeared. Go, Julia. I'll pay you for the day anyway. In the car, Julia asked, How did he get sick? I don't know. He was so sad. He stopped eating, playing. Sad? Why? Jonah glanced over. Because of you. Julia's heart clenched, and she thought of the 4-month-old baby inside her. At the hospital, she ran to the room. Daniel lay pale, hooked to machines. My God, Daniel! She took his hot little hand. Daniel, it's Mommy Julia. I'm here, my love. His eyes fluttered open. Mommy Julia, you came back? I did, my prince, and I'm not leaving till you're better. I thought you didn't like me anymore, he whispered. How could you think that? I love you more than anything. Then why did you go away? That was adult stuff, sweetie. It doesn't matter now. Daniel smiled for the first time in days. Will you stay? I will. They'll have to drag me out. Jonah watched from the doorway. In 5 minutes, Julia did what medicine hadn't. Daniel began to respond. Mommy Julia, sing the song I like. Of course, my love. She sang softly. Daniel relaxed and slept without delirium. The doctor came in, impressed. Wow, his vitals have improved a lot. Doctor, will he be okay? Julia asked. If he continues like this, yes. What did you do? Mommy Julia got here, Jonah said. Then she should stay until he recovers. Julia spent the night singing, telling stories, talking. Jonah stayed in the chair, watching. He saw how she cared for his son with real love. How could someone who loves like that have stolen? He wondered. By the second day, Daniel was much better, playing with Julia, laughing, eating well. Mommy Julia, why did you and Dad fight? Julia looked at Jonah. It's complicated, sweetie. But you love each other, right? I can tell. Julia blushed. Jonah did too. Son, it's not that simple, Jonah said. Why not? If you love each other, you get married. Because some things happened. What things? Things you wouldn't understand. Daniel grew serious. Dad, can I tell you a secret? What secret? Can I say it in front of Mommy Julia? You can. I know Grandpa lied about her. Jonah tensed. What do you mean? I heard him on the phone saying Mommy Julia was a thief. Then he said, It's not a lie. Well, not a complete lie. Jonah felt the room tilt. Are you sure? I am. And I recorded it. You recorded it? Jonah asked. Daniel pulled out his phone. Want to hear it? Jonah took it with shaking hands, listened, and went cold. My God, Daniel, when was this? Right after Mommy Julia left. Julia listened, stunned. So it was a setup. Julia, Jonah stammered. You don't have to say anything. You believed your father. He's your family. I should have trusted you. Let's leave it. The important thing is Daniel. I won't leave it. Jonah took her hand. Forgive me. I was an idiot. Please forgive me. I love you. Julia looked into his eyes. I love you too. I never stopped. Then you're getting back together? Daniel asked, thrilled. Son, it's not complicated. You love each other. I love you both. Done. Julia laughed. If only it were that simple. It is that simple. Mommy Julia, marry my dad. She flushed. Daniel. Dad, ask her. Jonah turned to her. Julia, will you marry me? Are you asking because Daniel told you to? No. I'm asking because I love you and don't want to live without you. She hesitated. I have to tell you something. What? She took a breath. I'm pregnant. Jonah froze. 4 months. The baby is yours. Daniel bounced on the bed. I'm getting a baby, brother? You are, my love. Jonah was still processing. Why didn't you tell me? Because you hated me. I thought you'd say it was a lie for money. Julia. He squeezed her hand. Forgive me for every doubt, for all the pain. Forgive me for hiding the pregnancy. They hugged each other, and Daniel clapped. Now I'll have a mom, a dad, and a baby brother. The next day, Daniel was discharged. On the way out, Jonah made a decision. Julia, come to my house. I need to settle things with my father. I don't know if that's a good idea. It is. He needs to answer for what he did. Dad, will Grandpa be mad? Daniel asked. He will. But sometimes we have to face people who do wrong. At the mansion, Gordon was in his office when he heard the car. He stepped out and saw Jonah entering with Julia and Daniel. What is the meaning of this? Why is that woman in my house? Because we need to talk, Jonah said. I have nothing to say in front of her. You have plenty. Jonah led them into the living room. Gordon followed, irritated. Jonah, have you lost your mind? After what she did. Dad, sit and listen. I won't. Daniel walked up to his grandfather. Grandpa, I want you to hear something interesting. What is it, kiddo? Daniel tapped his phone. Listen. Gordon's voice spilled out. Tell everyone not to hire her because she steals. It's not a lie. Well, not a complete lie. Color drained from Gordon's face. Daniel, where did you get that? I recorded you on the phone. Dad, Jonah said, voice hard, explain this recording. I can explain how something isn't a complete lie. Gordon had no answer. You set Julia up to look like a thief. Jonah, I did it for your sake. For my sake? Jonah shot to his feet. You destroyed an innocent woman's life. She's no good. She's a gold digger. Gold digger? She's 4 months pregnant and didn't tell me. If she were after money, she wouldn't have hidden it. Gordon stared at Julia, stunned. Pregnant? Yes, and even so, she didn't come after me, Jonah said. You don't understand. I understand perfectly. You lied, manipulated, and destroyed our happiness because of prejudice. It wasn't prejudice, it was protection. Protection from what? From a woman who loves our Daniel more than life? Gordon looked at Julia, who had been quiet. Aren't you going to say anything? I am, she said, standing. You humiliated me, persecuted me, spread lies, and almost starved me out. But you know what? I forgive you. He blinked. Forgive? I forgive you because carrying anger only hurts me, and I want to be happy with my family. Dad, Jonah said firmly, from today on, things are different. How so? Julia will be my wife, the mother of my children, and you will respect her. And if I don't? Then you lose a son and spend the rest of your life alone. Gordon fell silent. He'd lost. His manipulation was exposed, and now he would live with the consequences. Jonah hugged Julia and Daniel. Let's go. We have a wedding to plan. A month after that confrontation, Jonah went to see Julia at Mrs. Carmen's. She was 5 months along, her belly showing. Julia, I need to ask you something. What is it? Marry me. She stopped cleaning and looked at him. Jonah, let me finish. I know I hurt you. I doubted you when I should have trusted you, but I love you, and I know you love me. So why hesitate? Because I'm scared, Jonah. Scared of being hurt again. You won't. I promise. How can you promise? Your father still lives under the same roof. He knows he's lost my respect. He's still your father. And you're going to be my wife, the mother of my children. That matters more. She put a hand on her belly. What if he tries to separate us again? He won't succeed. Now I know exactly who he is. That's not my only worry. What else? I'm a poor housekeeper, pregnant, living in the projects. You're a millionaire. How does that work? Do you think I care about that? You don't. But what about everyone else? Your friends, your partners? I don't care about them either. He grinned. Sorry to be blunt, but that's the truth. Julia laughed for the first time. You almost said a bad word. Almost. I said I don't care what they think. It's going to be hard, very hard. I know. We'll face it together. Just then, Daniel burst into the apartment. Mommy, Julia! Dad, you're here! Hey, my prince! Julia hugged him. Mommy, Julia, are you going to marry my dad? I'm still thinking, sweetheart. Why? You love each other. It's complicated. It's not complicated at all. He turned to Jonah. Dad, tell her we're going to be a family. Daniel, Jonah said, smiling. Mommy Julia needs to be sure. Sure of what? That everything will be okay. Mommy Julia, I promise I'll take care of you and my baby brother forever. She teared up. Oh, sweetheart. And Dad promises too, right? I promise, Jonah said. Daniel looked up at Julia. And you promise you won't ever leave again? She looked at the boy, then at Jonah. I promise. Then it's decided. You're getting married. Julia laughed. Okay, I'll marry you too. Jonah hugged her. Really? Really, but on one condition. What? The wedding will be simple. No over-the-top luxury. However you want. Daniel jumped for joy. I'll have a real family. Mrs. Carmen stepped into the room. What's all the noise? They're getting married, Daniel shouted. That's wonderful. Congratulations. Thank you for everything, Mrs. Carmen, Julia said. You deserve to be happy, she replied. Take good care of each other. We will, Jonah said. On the way home, Daniel chattered non-stop. Dad, when's the wedding? I don't know yet. We have to plan. Next week? Easy, Julia laughed. Weddings take time. But I want it soon. Why? So everyone will know you're really my mum now. Julia blinked back tears. You already think of me as your mum? Since the first day I met you. They laughed at his bluntness. Dad, can I tell you something? Sure. Grandpa's really sad since that day. Jonah grew serious. How so? He almost never leaves his room, and when he does, he looks angry. Your grandpa's going through a hard time, Jonah said. Why? Because he did bad things, and now he's sorry. Has he apologized to Mommy Julia? Jonah glanced at Julia. Not yet. Then he needs to, Daniel said. When I do something wrong, you make me say sorry. Your grandpa is proud, Julia said gently. It's hard for him to admit he's wrong. If he doesn't say sorry, how will you get along? We'll get along our way, sweetheart. But it would be better if he apologized. They exchanged a look. Daniel was right, but they knew Gordon would never humble himself. 2 weeks later, wedding prep was in full swing. Julia was 5.5 months along, glowing. Mrs. Francis helped choose a dress. Kid, you look beautiful, pregnant and a bride. What joy. Thank you, Mrs. Francis. You're real family to me. And you to me, Julia said. She tried on a simple, elegant dress and smiled. Perfect. You'll be the prettiest bride in New York. Meanwhile, Jonah was at the office when Daniel ran in with his phone. Dad, can I show you something? Of course. Remember the recordings I made of Grandpa? I remember. There's more. Jonah blinked. What do you mean? He pressed play. Gordon's voice came through. Hello, Dr. Carter. I need a favor. It's about my son. He's going to marry a woman who isn't worthy. I want you to investigate her. Debts, trouble with the law, anything. The recording continued. I don't care what it costs. I want something to prove she isn't good enough for my family. If you can't find anything, make something up. It's not the first time we've done this. Jonah stopped the audio, furious. He never quits. Dad, Grandpa is really mean. I don't even know what to think anymore. Are you going to tell Mommy Julia? I don't know. She's already stressed with the wedding. She has to know. Why? Because we're family now. Families don't hide secrets. Jonah stared at his son. You're right. That night he went to Julia's. Hey, love, she said. What's wrong? You look upset. I need to tell you something. Did something happen? It's about my father. He hasn't stopped. What do you mean? Jonah explained the recordings. Julia went pale. He wants to invent things about me? It looks like it. What if he succeeds? What if he says I have debts, or that I've been arrested? Julia, breathe. How can I be calm? If he spreads lies again, no one will believe me. I believe you. Daniel believes you. That's what matters. What if he cancels our wedding? He won't. I won't let him. I'm scared. I am too. But we can't live in fear forever. It's not just me, she said, touching her belly. It's our baby. All the more reason to face him. How? We'll think of something. Wedding day arrived. The church was simple and beautiful, full of flowers. Julia glowed at 6 months pregnant, her dress perfectly tailored to her belly. Mrs. Francis cried with joy. My girl getting married. What happiness. Thank you for everything, Julia said. You're my heart mother. At the entrance, Jonah waited nervously. Daniel stood at his side in a little suit, phone in his pocket. Dad, are you nervous? I am. Why? You love Mommy Julia. With all my heart, but marriage is serious. You'll be happy forever. The music started. Julia walked in on Mrs. Francis's arm, radiant. Jonah forgot to breathe. Wow, he whispered. What a woman. That's my mum, Daniel said proudly. The ceremony went smoothly until the church doors burst open. Gordon Tremont strode in with 2 big security guards. This ceremony cannot continue, he shouted. Guests gasped. Jonah's face flamed. Dad, what are you doing? Saving you from a terrible mistake. Get out. Now. I will not. This woman is a fraud. He marched toward the altar. She tricked everyone. Julia went pale. Mr. Gordon, please. Please, nothing. You don't know who she really is. He faced the guests. This woman has a record. Whispers rippled through the pews. Julia began to cry. She's been arrested for theft, Gordon said, waving papers at the priest and guests. And that's not all. She has huge debts at several banks. That's a lie, Jonah snapped. Lie? Explain these documents. Daniel, quiet until then, stepped forward. Grandpa, you're a liar. Daniel, get down. No, you're making it up. How do you know, boy? Daniel drew his phone. because I recorded you planning these lies. Gordon blanched. What recording? Want to hear it? Daniel tapped play. Gordon's voice boomed through the church. If you can't find anything on her, invent something. It's not the first time we've done this. Guests gasped. That's edited, Gordon protested. It's not, Daniel said, and played more. I want proof she's not right for my family. I don't care what it costs, people murmured angrily. Julia stood, still crying. Now everyone can see who the liar is. Julia, Gordon tried. No. My turn, she faced the congregation. Mr. Gordon made up that I was a thief. He planted a watch in my bag to frame me. Dad, Jonah said to the crowd, has forged documents against the woman I love. He lied, humiliated, and tried to destroy our happiness. Son, I only wanted to protect you. Protect me? You almost made me lose the most important person in my life. She's no good. The one who isn't good is you. Daniel stepped up to his grandfather. Grandpa, you're very mean. Mommy Julia is good, and you keep making up lies. I don't want to be your grandson anymore. Gordon reeled. How can you say that? Because I don't want to be the grandson of a liar. Jonah turned to his father. You're no longer welcome in my life. You can't say that. I can. You chose prejudice over love. Gordon stood silent, realizing he'd lost. You'll regret this. No, Dad, you will. He left the church, humiliated and alone. The guests applauded Julia and Jonah. The priest, who had watched quietly, smiled. Well, now that the truth is out, he said, shall we continue? We shall, Father, Julia answered, radiant. By the authority vested in me, I now pronounce you husband and wife. Jonah and Julia kissed to a swell of applause. Daniel jumped between them. Now we're a real family. The whole church was moved. Mrs. Francis wept with joy. Justice had finally been done, and love had won. 3 weeks after the wedding, as Jonah and Julia were organizing her move into the mansion, an unexpected visitor arrived. Detective Carla Sanders, a serious but friendly woman in her 40s. Mr. Jonah Tremont? That's me. I'm Detective Sanders. I'm here about an investigation. They tensed. What kind of investigation? Jonah asked. Forgery and defamation. How so? We received a complaint with recordings. Very compromising. She glanced at Julia. Recordings of a certain Gordon Tremont arranging to fabricate documents against you. Jonah's eyes widened. Who filed the complaint? It was submitted by an attorney on your behalf, Dr. Matthews. I don't know any Dr. Matthews, Daniel ran in. Hi, police lady. Hello, sweetheart. Are you here to talk about the mean grandpa? She smiled. I am. I asked Dr. Matthews to help, Daniel said. Jonah blinked. Daniel, who is Dr. Matthews? He's my friend's dad. He's a lawyer. I showed him the recordings. He said he'd help. Julia's eyes filled. Oh, my boy. The charges against Mr. Tremont include at least 3 crimes, the detective said. Forgery, slander, and defamation. What does that mean? Jonah asked. He could face 2 to 6 years in prison. Prison? Julia gasped. Yes, his crimes are serious. Detective, Jonah said, we don't want him to go to prison. How can you say that, after everything? He's my father. Daniel's grandfather. We don't want it to end like that. She looked surprised. Even after all he did? It's possible to make a deal. What kind of deal? He publicly admits he lied and pays a fair settlement. In exchange for what? You don't pursue the charges. I accept, Julia said. I forgive him. Are you sure? He hurt you badly. I'm sure. I don't want to carry anger, and I don't want Daniel growing up knowing his grandpa is in prison. Daniel hugged her. Mommy Julia, you're so good. You're very special people, the detective said. As for timing... How long does this take? Julia asked. Usually around 3 months for the full investigation, then another 3 for the agreement if he accepts. And if he doesn't? Then it goes to trial. It could take years. Jonah sighed. We'll wait. 2 months later, the detective returned. He accepted the deal. He did? Julia asked, surprised. Yes. He'll publish a statement in major papers apologizing and pay you damages. How much? $80,000. Julia nearly fainted. It's a fair amount for the harm he caused, the detective said. Jonah hugged his wife. You deserve that and more. It's a lot of money, Julia said softly. Daniel clapped. With that money, Mommy Julia can help lots of people. Julia smiled. That's a great idea, my prince. The detective stood. My work here is done. Congratulations. Thank you for everything, Julia said. It was a pleasure meeting a family like yours. When she left, Jonah hugged Julia and Daniel. It's finally over. Yes, Julia said, exhaling. Now we can be happy forever. For real? Daniel asked. For real. A week later, Gordon's apology ran in every paper. I, Gordon Tremont, publicly apologized to Mrs. Julia Parker Tremont for the false accusations I made against her. I acknowledge that I acted with prejudice and harmed an innocent, hard-working person. I deeply regret my actions. Julia read the note, moved. I never thought he'd do it. Sometimes people change when they lose what matters, Jonah said. Let's hope he really learned. 2 years later, Jonah and Julia were in the mansion's garden, now warmer and more welcoming. Julia was in the kitchen, while Daniel, now a big 10-year-old, played with his sister, Sophia. Mommy Julia, Sophia wants you to see her walk, Daniel called. I'm coming, sweetheart. Julia laughed. Jonah came up and hugged them. Look at my beautiful girls. We're happy, Julia said. And so am I. The mansion felt different. Part of it had been converted into a community daycare that Julia ran with professionals, funded by the settlement and a share of the company's profits. She'd founded the Hope Foundation. Jonah, remember when we met? She asked. Of course. You gave your last $14 to 2 people you thought were homeless. Who would have thought that one day I'd have money to help so many? You always had a rich heart, he said. Daniel ran over. Dad, Mom, Sophia's walking by herself. They hurried over. The toddler toddled a few steps, then plopped down giggling. She walked, Daniel shouted. Sophia walked. Julia wiped a tear. Our baby is growing up. And so is Daniel, Jonah said proudly. When I grow up, I'm going to help people, just like you, Daniel said. That's wonderful, son. And guess what? I got a card from Grandpa yesterday. Julia raised a brow. A card? He said he misses us and that he's learned to be a better person. Jonah pulled them into a hug. Who would have thought a pretend homeless test would change our lives forever? And I learned that family is the people who truly love each other, Daniel added. Sophia clapped as if she agreed. In the sunset glow, the Tremont family embraced in the garden of a home, now full of love, laughter, and hope. Everyone had finally found their place in the world. The end. Thank you all for watching. This is Mr. Hope. I love you all.